The silver ship moved through space like a silent knife cutting through darkness. Inside the vessel, Chief Researcher Cale Thorne stared at the blue planet spinning slowly on his screen. His long fingers tapped against the metal desk as he studied. The readings. "This cannot be right," he said to his team. "Run the scans again?" Yuki Nam looked up from her workstation. Her dark eyes showed confusion as she checked the numbers for the third time. "Sir, the readings are correct. This planet should not support any intelligent life." Dae Kim stepped closer to the main screen. His military training made him always look for dangers first. What he saw on this planet was nothing but danger. "Look at these weather patterns," he said, pointing at the swirling clouds.
"Those storms
could destroy our entire ship." The planet below them was beautiful but deadly. Massive hurricanes spun across blue oceans. Lightning flashed through thick clouds. The land showed mountains that reached high into the atmosphere and deserts that stretched for thousands of miles. Some places, the ground itself was broken and bleeding fire. "The atmospheric readings show poison gases in many areas," Yuki reported. "The water contains creatures with enough venom to kill our entire crew. The land animals are massive predators with teeth longer than my arm." Cale nodded slowly. In his 40 years of exploring the galaxy, he had seen many worlds. The Galactic Council had taught him to recognize death worlds immediately. This planet had every sign of being completely uninhabitable. Yet, our long-range sensors detect cities, he said. Millions of structures, billions of life forms, technology that rivals our own. Dae checked his weapons systems out of habit, perhaps. They are primitives hiding in caves. Survivors barely staying alive. "No," Yuki said, her voice growing excited. "Look at these energy readings. They have power sources we cannot identify. They are sending signals into space. Complex mathematical patterns and what appears to be art." The team fell silent. This made no sense according to everything they knew about life in the galaxy. Intelligent species developed on safe worlds with stable climates and few predators. They needed peaceful environments to grow their minds and build their societies. This world was the opposite of peaceful. Every scan showed new dangers. Diseases that could kill in hours, plants that could dissolve flesh with a touch. Whether that changed from freezing to burning in the same day, "We should report this to the Council immediately," Dae said. "A species that survived this world could be extremely dangerous." Cale was about to agree when alarms began sounding throughout the ship. All three researchers rushed to their stations as red lights flashed around them. "They have detected us," Yuki announced. "Multiple signals are coming from the planet's surface." "Are they weapons?" Dae asked, his hand moving to the shield controls. "No," Yuki said, studying her screen carefully. "They appear to be communication attempts." On the main screen, symbols began appearing, numbers and mathematical sequences. Simple. Drawings that showed basic shapes and concepts. Then something that looked like music or art. "They are trying to talk to us," Cale said with wonder in his voice. Deep below them on Earth, Commander Wan Lee sat in the deep space monitoring station buried beneath a mountain in Korea. His team had been tracking the alien ship for 3 days as it approached their solar system. "Sir, they have stopped moving," reported his assistant. "They appear to be scanning Earth." Wan nodded calmly. He had trained for this moment his entire career. "Begin the first contact protocol. Send." The mathematics sequence that Dr. Sojin Park developed. "Should we alert the military?" his assistant asked. "Not yet," Wan replied. "If they wanted to attack us, they would have done it already. They are curious about us, just as we are curious about them." The message went out from Earth in dozens of languages and mathematical formats. It contained basic information about human mathematics, music, and art. It showed pictures of Earth and its people. Most importantly, it was peaceful aboard the alien ship. The three researchers stared at the incoming messages with growing amazement. "Look at this," Yuki said, pointing to images appearing on her screen. "These creatures live on the surface of that death world. They have built cities directly in the path of those massive storms. These images show them swimming in waters we detected as highly toxic," Dae added, "and climbing those mountains that reach into the poisonous atmosphere. Kale studied an image that showed human children playing in what his instruments identified as an extreme radiation zone. They are not hiding from their world's dangers. They are living with them. More images came through the communication stream. Humans surfing massive waves that could crush their bodies. Humans exploring caves filled with deadly gases. Humans building homes on the sides of active volcanoes. "This is impossible," Day whispered. "No species can survive constant exposure to such dangers, yet they have," Kale said. "And they have not just survived, they have thrived." The final part of the human message showed their technology. Medical devices that could repair almost any injury. Buildings that could bend without breaking during earthquakes. Vehicles that could travel through conditions that would destroy most galactic ships. They have turned their death world into an advantage, Yuki realized. Them something new. Kale looked at his team with new understanding. "We came here expecting to find primitives barely surviving on a hostile world. Instead, we have found a species that has learned to master the most dangerous environment we have ever discovered." He turned back to the communication system. "Send a response. Tell them we wish to learn more about them and their world." Day said carefully, "Are we sure this is safe? A species that can survive all of this might be very dangerous to us." Kale thought about this for a moment. "Perhaps they are dangerous," he said finally, "but they chose to communicate with us peacefully. They sent us art and music instead of weapons. I think we may have more to fear from our own ignorance than from their strength." As the alien ship sent its reply to Earth, both species began to realize that everything they thought they knew about survival and intelligence was about to change. The most dangerous species in the galaxy had just introduced themselves to the universe with mathematics, music, and an invitation to talk. And the galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after first contact, Dr. Mina Cho stepped aboard the alien vessel with a simple backpack and a warm smile. The airlock sealed behind her as she looked around at the pristine white corridors. Everything was smooth and clean, like a hospital that had never seen a single patient. Chief Researcher Kale Thorne greeted her personally. His tall, thin frame reminded Mina of a tree that had grown in perfect conditions, never bent by wind or tested by storms. "Dr. Cho, thank you for coming," Kale said through the translation device. "We hope to understand how your species manages to survive on such a hostile world." Mina laughed gently. "Hostile? Earth is our home. We love it there." Yuki Nam led them to the main research chamber, where holographic displays showed Earth from orbit. The planet looked beautiful but deadly, with swirling storm systems and volcanic activity visible from space. "Perhaps you could explain your planet's ecosystem," Yuki said, her voice careful and polite. "Our instruments detect over 10,000 different ways your world could kill an intelligent being." "Only 10,000? Mina asked with genuine surprise. "Your scanners must have missed quite a few." The three aliens looked at each other nervously. Daekim moved closer to the emergency alert button. Mina opened her backpack and pulled out a simple tablet. "Let me show you some pictures from my last vacation." The first image showed Mina swimming in crystal blue water. Beautiful fish swam around her in bright colors. "This looks peaceful," Kale said with relief. "Oh, those fish are deadly," Mina explained cheerfully. "The blue ones have enough poison to kill 30 people. The red ones have spines that inject venom directly into your bloodstream. And see that pretty coral? It can dissolve human skin in minutes." Yuki stared at the image in horror. "You swim with creatures that can kill you." "Sure," Mina said. "You just have to know what you are doing. We learn which ones to avoid and which ones are safe to be near. The blue fish only attack if you threaten. They're babies. The red ones are actually quite friendly if you approach them slowly." The next picture showed Mina hiking through a dark forest. Tall trees reached toward the sky while strange plants covered the ground. "This forest produces oxygen," Day observed, checking his readings. "Yes, but it also produces dozens of toxic gases," Mina replied. "Some of these plants release spores that can cause hallucinations. Others have thorns coated with paralytic toxins, and there are predators in here that hunt by scent." "How do you survive walking through such a place?" Yuki asked. "We study the patterns," Mina explained. we learn which plants are dangerous and which seasons they release their toxins. We carry equipment to detect predators. We travel in groups and stay on marked paths that our ancestors tested over thousands of years. Kale looked confused. Your ancestors tested dangerous paths? Why would they risk their lives? Because the forest also provides medicine, Mina said. Some of these deadly plants contain compounds that cure diseases. Others provide materials for building stronger tools. The predators teach us to be faster and smarter. Every danger also brings an opportunity. The next image made all three aliens step back in shock. It showed Mina standing next to a mountain that was shooting fire and melted rock into the sky. That is an active volcano, Day said, his voice high with panic. You stood next to an exploding mountain. Volcanoes are amazing, Mina said with enthusiasm. They create new land. The ash makes soil incredibly fertile for growing food. The heat can be used for energy. And the minerals they bring up from deep underground are essential for our technology. But the radiation, the toxic gases, the heat that could melt your body, Yuki protested. We wear protective equipment, Mina explained. We study the patterns of eruptions. We build early warning systems. Humans have lived near volcanoes for thousands of years. We've learned to work with them instead of just fearing them.
Actor.
Tai Wang joined them in the research chamber, carrying a small case of Earth specimens. His cheerful expression made the aliens nervous. Dr. Wang studies how Earth life adapts to danger. Mina introduced him. Tai opened his case to reveal glass containers holding various Earth creatures. These are some of our more interesting species, he said. The first container held a small spider with bright red markings. This spider's bite can kill a human in 6 hours, Tai explained. But we have learned to use its venom to create medicine that helps people with nerve diseases. The second container showed a plant with beautiful purple flowers. Eating this plant causes painful death, Tai continued. But in tiny amounts, it creates powerful medicine for heart problems. Kale stared at the specimens in disbelief. Keep deadly creatures as tools? We keep them as partners, Tai corrected. Every dangerous species on Earth has taught us something valuable. The venomous animals showed us how to create new medicines. The poisonous plants revealed chemical compounds we never could have discovered alone. But surely you have safe areas where your children can grow up, Yuki said hopefully. Mina and Tai exchanged amused looks. Our children swim in the ocean with sharks, Mina said. They climb trees that could fall and crush them. They play in parks where they might encounter venomous snakes or stinging insects. This sounds like torture, Day whispered. It is education, Tai replied. Earth children learn to assess risks from a very young age. They develop quick reflexes, strong immune systems, and excellent problem-solving skills. By the time they are adults, they can handle situations that would panic most galactic species. Dr. Jinru entered the chamber carrying medical equipment. His arrival made the aliens even more nervous. Dr. Ru is our physician, Mina said. He can explain how living on Earth affects human biology. Jin set up a simple scanner and ran it over Mina's arm. The results appeared on the alien displays. Incredible, Kale breathed. Her immune system shows resistance to over 300 different toxins. Earth constantly challenges our immune systems, Jin explained. We are exposed to new bacteria, viruses, and chemical compounds every day. Our bodies have learned to adapt quickly to new threats. Your bone density is 40% higher than our species, Yuki observed. Earth gravity is stronger than most worlds, Jin said. Our muscles and bones develop to handle constant stress. This makes us stronger and more durable. And your neural activity, Day added, it shows patterns we have never seen. Earth requires constant decision-making, Jin replied. Every day we face dozens of potential dangers. Our brains have evolved to process multiple threats simultaneously while finding creative solutions. The three aliens stood in stunned silence as they absorbed this information. You are saying, Kale said slowly, that your death world has made your entire species stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. We prefer to call it our teacher world, Mina said with a smile. Earth never stops teaching us new things. Every challenge makes us better than we were before. As the humans prepared to return to Earth, the alien researchers realized they had discovered something that would change galactic science forever. What they called a death world, humans called the perfect school. Captain Sue Park walked into the alien research chamber with the confident stride of someone who had faced real danger and survived. Her uniform was simple but practical, designed for function rather than appearance. The three alien researchers watched her nervously as she settled into a chair that seemed too small for her presence. "You wanted to understand human psychology," Sue said, her voice calm and steady. "Where would you like me to start?" Cale Thorne shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "We've been studying your species for a week now. We are particularly confused by your recreational activities." Sue raised an eyebrow. "Or what?" Yuki Nam activated a holographic display showing footage from Earth. The first image showed humans jumping from aircraft thousands of feet above the ground. "You throw yourselves from flying vehicles for entertainment," Yuki said, her voice filled with disbelief. "Skydiving?" Sue nodded. "Yes, it is quite popular. But the risk of death is significant," Dae Kim protested. "About 1 in 100,000? Sue replied casually. "More people die from bee stings." The next image showed humans diving into deep water without breathing equipment. "Free diving," Sue explained before they could ask. "Some humans can hold their breath for over 20 minutes and dive deeper than 300 meters. "Anyone choose to do this?" Cale asked. "'Cause it feels amazing," Sue said with a smile. "There is something wonderful about pushing your limits and discovering what you are truly capable of." The aliens exchanged worried glances. In their cultures, taking unnecessary risks was considered a sign of mental illness. "Here is what truly puzzles us," Yuki said, showing new footage. "These humans are fighting each other voluntarily." The screen showed a boxing match where two humans were hitting each other with their fists. "Combat sports?" Sue nodded. "Boxing, wrestling, martial arts. They teach discipline, respect, and self-control." "They are trying to hurt each other," Dae said, horrified. "Within rules and safety guidelines," Sue explained. "These fighters respect each other greatly. They push each other to become better. After the fight, they often become close friends." "This makes no sense," Cale said. "Why would friendship come from violence?" "'Cause shared struggle creates strong bonds," Sue replied. "When you face difficulty with someone, you learn to trust them completely." Dr. Woojin Kim entered the chamber, carrying a tablet filled with human psychological data. His gentle appearance contrasted sharply with the disturbing information he was about to share. "Captain Park asked me to explain human mental resilience," Woojin said, settling beside her. "Please do," Yuki said. "We are struggling to understand how your minds work." Woojin activated his tablet, showing brain scan images. "Human brains have developed something we call stress adaptation. Face trauma or extreme difficulty, many humans become stronger rather than weaker." "That is impossible," Dae said flatly. "Trauma damages the mind permanently. Not for humans," Woojin explained. "We call it post-traumatic growth. Soldiers who survive combat often become better leaders. People who recover from serious illness develop deeper compassion. Children who overcome early hardships frequently become the most successful adults." The aliens stared at the brain scans in confusion. "Your species actually improves under stress?" Cale asked. "Not all humans, and not always," Woojin clarified. "But yes, a significant percentage of our population responds to extreme challenges by developing new capabilities and stronger character. This explains your entertainment choices," Yuki realized with growing horror. Woojin nodded and showed them footage of human movie theaters. "We watch films that deliberately frighten us. We call them horror movies." "You pay money to be scared?" Dae asked. "Absolutely," Sue said. "Fear is an interesting emotion when you know you are actually safe. It helps us practice emotional control." "We read stories about terrible events," Woojin added, showing images of human literature. "War stories, disaster accounts, tales of people facing impossible odds." "Why would you want to imagine such things?" Cale asked. "Because they prepare us," Sue explained. "Every story teaches us something about how to handle real problems. Every fictional challenge helps us think about creative solutions. The young diplomat Biora Song joined them in the research chamber. Her cheerful demeanor seemed completely at odds with everything the aliens had learned about human psychology.
Doctor.
Kim asked me to discuss human emotional responses, Biora said brightly. You seem very happy for a member of such a traumatized species, Yuki observed. Biora laughed warmly. Traumatized? We prefer to think of ourselves as experienced. She sat down and looked directly at each alien researcher. May I ask about your own worlds? What challenges do your people face? We have very few challenges, Kale said proudly. Our world is peaceful and stable. We have eliminated most sources of danger and stress. That sounds boring, Biora said with genuine sympathy. Boring? Day repeated. We consider it ideal. But how do you grow? Bora asked. How do you discover what you are capable of? How do you develop strength and creativity? The three aliens looked at each other uncertainly. We focus on learning. And research, Yuki said. But learning from books is different from learning from experience, Biora explained. When we face real challenges, we discover parts of ourselves we never knew existed. We find courage we did not know we had, develop skills we never thought possible. She activated her own tablet, showing images of human achievements. These are people who accomplished amazing things specifically because they faced terrible circumstances. The images showed inventors who created life-saving devices after losing loved ones to disease, athletes who won competitions despite serious injuries, artists who created beautiful works while living through wars. Your species turned suffering into strength, Kale said slowly. We turn everything into learning opportunities, Biora corrected. Good experiences teach us about joy and beauty. Bad experiences teach us about resilience and problem solving. Both are valuable. But surely you prefer the good experiences, Yuki said. Of course, Sue said, but we do not waste the bad ones. Every difficult situation makes us more prepared for the next challenge. This is why human children play fighting games, Wu Jin added. This is why we tell scary stories around campfires. This is why we create art about dark subjects. We are constantly preparing ourselves for whatever life might bring. Your entertainment, your art, your education, Day said with growing understanding. It is all psychological training. Everything is training, Biora agreed. Every day on Earth teaches us something new about survival, adaptation, and growth. The alien researchers sat in stunned silence as they processed this information. They had discovered a species that deliberately exposed themselves to stress, difficulty, and even fear as a form of mental exercise. We think your people might be the most psychologically advanced species in the galaxy, Kale said finally. We just learned to make friends with our fears, Sue replied. Once you stop running from challenges and start learning from them, everything becomes possible. As the humans prepared to leave, the aliens realized they had encountered something unprecedented, a species that had turned psychological warfare against their own environment into an art form. And somehow, impossibly, it was working. Dr. Hyenwu, Nam, arrived at the alien vessel carrying engineering plans that would change everything. His weathered hands showed the scars of a lifetime working with dangerous materials and unpredictable machinery. When he smiled at the three alien researchers, they noticed his teeth were slightly worn from years of breathing recycled air in hazardous environments. I understand you have some planetary problems, Hyenwu said, settling into the research chamber. Perhaps we can help. Kale. Thorn activated the holographic display showing 3 worlds in the alien empire. Each planet looked beautiful and peaceful from orbit. These worlds are becoming uninhabitable, Kale explained. We may need to evacuate millions of our people. Hyenwu studied the data with growing amazement. What exactly is the problem? This world is experiencing climate change. Yuki Nam pointed to the first planet. The average temperature has increased by 2 degrees over the past century. 2 degrees? Hyenwu asked. That is all? It is destroying our agricultural systems, Dae Kim explained. Our people cannot adapt to such extreme changes. And we looked at the second planet. And this one?
Eyes.
Seismic activity has increased, Kale said gravely. We now experience minor earthquakes once every few months. Minor earthquakes, Hyenwu repeated slowly. The third world has developed a small population of predatory animals, Yuki added. Creatures about the size of your house cats, but with sharp teeth. Hyen-Woo stared at the aliens in complete silence for several long moments. You consider these problems serious enough to abandon entire worlds? He finally asked. Of course, Day replied. These conditions make the planets unsafe for intelligent life. On Earth, we call these Tuesday, Hyen-Woo said quietly. Engineer Yujin Lee joined them in the chamber, carrying a case of human engineering tools. Her calm expression showed no concern about the planetary crises being discussed. Dr. Name asked. Me to bring some basic solutions, Yujin said, opening her case. Basic solutions? Kale asked hopefully. For the climate change problem, Yujin began, we recommend controlled forest fires. The three aliens gasped in horror. You want to burn their forests? Yuki asked in shock. Strategic burning prevents larger fires and strengthens the ecosystem, Yujin explained patiently. We also suggest introducing more diverse plant species that can handle temperature variations. And for the earthquakes? Day asked nervously. Flexible building designs, Yujin replied. We have cities that experience major earthquakes every few years. Our buildings bend instead of breaking. We also recommend underground warning systems. Live in earthquake zones voluntarily? Kale asked. Some of our most beautiful and productive cities are built directly on fault lines, Yujin said. The geological activity creates fertile soil and natural hot springs. What about the predators, Yuki asked? Education and coexistence programs? Yujin replied. We teach people how to live safely with dangerous animals. Often the predators become valuable parts of the ecosystem. Hyen-Woo activated his tablet, showing images from Earth cities. These are human settlements built in what you would consider impossible locations. The first image showed a city built on the slopes of an active volcano. This city has been here for 800 years, Hyen-Woo explained. The volcano provides geothermal energy and creates incredibly fertile farmland. The second image showed a floating city on the ocean. This community lives on the water because the fishing is excellent and the storms provide fresh water for their needs. The third image showed an underground city carved into solid rock. These people chose to live underground because the surface was too dangerous, Hyen-Woo said. But they discovered amazing mineral deposits and perfect temperature control. You build cities in dangerous places on purpose? Day asked in disbelief. We build cities where the opportunities are greatest, Yujin corrected. Danger and opportunity usually come together. Commander Kyun-soo entered the chamber, carrying a small device that looked like it had been assembled from spare parts. I heard you were having technical difficulties, Kyun said, examining the alien ship systems. Our atmospheric processors are failing, Kale explained. Our best engineers have been working on the problem for months. Kyung looked at the alien machinery for exactly 30 seconds before pulling out a simple tool. You have a pressure valve? That is stuck closed, he said, making a quick adjustment. And your filtration system is running backwards. The ship systems immediately began working more efficiently than they had in years. How did you diagnose that so quickly? Yuki asked. In amazement, Earth's machinery fails constantly, Kyung explained.
Wet co wand go da what go da what dot o wad all win with unda weld and bad at ever we been at of I be where I do. Your equipment is actually much simpler than what we use at home. Simpler? Day questioned. You designed these systems to work in perfect conditions, Kyun said. Earth equipment has to work during storms, earthquakes, power failures, and equipment shortages. We build everything to handle multiple failures at once. He showed them a human-designed tool from his kit. This device can function as a hammer, screwdriver, measuring device, cutting tool, and emergency radio.
Most human tools serve at least 5 different purposes. Why? Kale asked. Because we never know what we might need in an emergency, Kyung replied. Earth teaches us to be prepared for anything. Yuzhan began explaining her planetary improvement plans to the increasingly amazed aliens. For your climate world, we suggest building floating farms that rise and fall with flood cycles. For your earthquake world, we recommend flexible transportation systems that can handle ground movement. For your predator world, we propose training programs that teach your people to coexist with the local wildlife. These solutions sound extremely dangerous, Yuki said. They are much safer than abandoning perfectly good planets, Hyan-Wu replied. You are throwing away resources that could support your civilization for thousands of years. But our people are not trained to handle such challenges, Day protested. Then we train them, Yuzhan said simply. Humans have been teaching each other to handle dangerous situations for our entire history. We can teach your people too. Kyung nodded agreement. Every human child learns basic survival skills before they reach adulthood. Risk assessment, emergency response, equipment maintenance, and creative problem solving. You teach children to handle emergencies? Kale asked. We teach children that emergencies are just problems waiting for solutions, Hyan-Wu said. The sooner they learn this, the more confident and capable they become. As the humans prepared their detailed planetary rescue plans, the alien researchers realized their entire understanding of habitability had been completely wrong. They had been abandoning worlds that humans would consider paradise. We have been thinking about this backwards, Yuki said slowly. We defined uninhabitable as any world with significant challenges. We define inhabitable as any world with significant opportunities, Yuzhan replied. The revelation hit all 3 aliens at the same time. They had been running from the very experiences that could make their species stronger, smarter, and more capable. Your death world, Kale said with new understanding, was never your curse, it was your greatest gift. The meeting that would change galactic civilization began with Kale Thorne making a confession that shocked his own species. Standing before the assembled Alien Leadership Council, the respected researcher admitted what his team had discovered during their weeks studying humanity. We have been wrong about everything, Kale said, his voice carrying across the council chamber. Our entire understanding of planetary habitability, species development, and survival has been backwards. Elder Council Member Vex Zorian leaned forward in his chair. Explain yourself, researcher. The humans live on what we classified as a Class 5 death world, Kale continued. By our standards, their planet should be completely uninhabitable. Instead, we have discovered the most advanced species we have ever encountered. Dr. Yunbai Choi sat quietly in the gallery, invited to observe the proceedings. Her presence made many council members nervous, though she appeared completely relaxed. The human representative will address the council. Kale announced. EU and Bai stepped forward with the easy confidence of someone who had faced real danger and survived. Her simple clothing and calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the elaborate robes and nervous energy of the alien leadership. Honored Council, UNBI, began. We have learned that your species faces a crisis that you may not fully understand. What crisis? Elder Zorian demanded. You are becoming weaker with each generation, Yunbai said gently. Your safe worlds are destroying your species' ability to adapt, grow, and solve problems. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Several members stood and shouted protests. Our worlds are perfect, Council Member Tech Valen declared. We have eliminated disease, dangerous weather, and predatory species. Our people live in complete safety. Because of that safety, they are losing essential capabilities, UNB replied calmly.
Oh.
Your own records show declining birth rates, increasing mental illness, and reduced innovation over the past 5 centuries. The shouting stopped as council members realized she was correct. Your species evolved to handle challenges, Bai continued. When you removed all challenges from your environment, you removed the pressure that kept your people strong and creative. Scholar Ji-Hoon Park joined Yunbai at the speaker's platform. His gentle manner and obvious intelligence helped calm the nervous council members. We have been studying your historical records, Ji-Hoon said. Your greatest achievements all occurred during periods of difficulty. Your most celebrated leaders arose during times of crisis. Your most beautiful art was created by people who had experienced loss and struggle. Are you suggesting we should deliberately harm our people? Elder Zorian asked. We are suggesting you should give them opportunities to grow, Yunbai replied. Not by creating artificial dangers, but by allowing them to face manageable challenges. In controlled environments, she activated a holographic display showing human training facilities. These are our challenge colonies, Yunbai explained. Places where humans can safely practice handling difficult situations. We have mountain climbing centers, underwater exploration schools, and wilderness survival academies. You train people to face danger? Councilmember Valen asked. We train people to face life, Jihoon corrected. Danger is just one part of living. By learning to handle challenges, people develop confidence, creativity, and strength. What exactly are you proposing? Elder Zorian asked. Eun-by, and Jihoon exchanged glances before Yunbai continued. We propose a partnership, she said. Humans will help establish graduated challenge programs for your species. We start with very small difficulties, and gradually increase them as people develop confidence and skills. This sounds incredibly risky, another council member protested. Living without growth is the real risk, Jihoon replied. Your current path leads to species-wide stagnation and eventual extinction. Challenge leads to adaptation and strength. Dr. Woojin Kim entered the chamber carrying detailed psychological profiles of both human and alien populations.
The data
Supports everything Dr. Choi and Scholar Park have said, Woojin announced. Human psychological profiles show consistent patterns of growth, resilience, and creative problem-solving. Your species profiles show increasing anxiety, depression, and learned helplessness. He activated his own display showing comparative brain scans. Human brains show high activity in areas related to risk assessment, rapid decision-making, and adaptive thinking, Woojin explained. Your species' brains show these same areas becoming less active over time. You're saying our safety is making us stupid? Elder Zorian asked bluntly. We are saying your safety is preventing you from reaching your full potential, Woojin replied diplomatically. Eun-by stepped forward again. We have developed a specific program for your consideration. It begins with simple physical challenges, like hiking and swimming. Then it progresses to basic problem-solving exercises and group survival training. And if people get hurt? Councilmember Valen asked. Some will, Yunbai admitted honestly, but far fewer than are currently being hurt by depression, anxiety, and the various illnesses that come from lives without purpose or challenge. Jihoon activated another display showing human colony ships. We are also prepared to help you reclaim the worlds you have abandoned, he said. Planets you consider uninhabitable could support thriving colonies with proper training and preparation. You would teach our people to live on dangerous worlds? Elder Zorian asked. We would teach your people to live with confidence and capability, Yunbai replied. The worlds are not dangerous when you know how to work with them. Captain Su Park entered the chamber accompanied by several other human specialists. The military applications alone make this worthwhile, Su announced. Species that can handle stress and uncertainty are much better at defending themselves. In solving complex problems, we are not a warlike people, Councilmember Valen protested. Neither are we, Su replied. But we are prepared people. There is a significant difference. Engineer Eugene Lee stepped forward, carrying examples of human adaptive technology. Your manufacturing and engineering will improve dramatically, Eugene said. When you expect equipment to fail, you design it to be easily repaired. When you expect conditions to change, you build flexibility into your systems. She demonstrated a simple human tool that could be reconfigured for dozens of different tasks. This represents the difference between our approaches, Eugene explained. You build specialized tools for perfect conditions. For changing situations, council members spent several hours examining the human proposals, asking detailed questions, and discussing the implications among themselves. Finally, Elder Zorian called for order. This partnership you propose, he said slowly, It would fundamentally change our civilization. Yes, Yunbai agreed. It would help your civilization reach its full potential. And you believe this is necessary for our survival, you believe? It is necessary for your growth, Ji-hoon replied. The question is what kind of life you want your people to have. After a long pause, Elder Zorian spoke again. We will begin with a small pilot program. 1 colony. World. Volunteers only. Yunbai smiled warmly. That is exactly how we would recommend starting. As the council session ended, both species realized they had just taken the first step towards something unprecedented in galactic history. A partnership based not on trade or military alliance, but on the shared goal of helping people become the best versions of themselves. The humans had offered their greatest gift, the knowledge of how to turn challenges into strength. And the galaxy would never be the same. 2 years after first contact, Ambassador Inesio Wang stood before the completed Human Resilience Academy on the moon of Kepler 4 for to see. The building looked nothing like traditional galactic architecture. Instead of smooth, sterile surfaces, it featured natural materials, varied lighting, and multiple levels that required physical effort to navigate. The design itself is part of the training, Inesio explained to the gathered representatives from 47 different species. Every day here presents small challenges that help develop confidence and problem-solving skills. Elder Zorian, now looking healthier and more energetic than he had in decades, nodded approvingly. The changes in our pilot program participants have been remarkable. The first graduation ceremony was about to begin. 100 beings from various species had completed the initial 6-month resilience training program. They looked completely different from when they had arrived. Kale Thorne, now serving as the Academy's Director of Xenobiological Studies, stepped to the podium. His own transformation was evident. The pale, thin researcher had developed muscle, tone, and confident posture from months of working alongside humans in challenging environments. When we first discovered humanity, Kale began, we thought we had found the galaxy's most dangerous species. We were correct, but not in the way we expected. The audience of various alien species listened intently. Many were considering enrollment in future programs. Humans are dangerous because they make everyone around them better, Kale continued. They are dangerous because they refuse to accept limitations as permanent. They are dangerous because they believe every problem has a solution, young instructor. Dong-Hyeon Yoon took the stage next. At only 25 years old, he had become one of the Academy's most popular teachers. His specialty was helping alien species overcome their fear of uncertainty. Today we celebrate not just graduation, but transformation, Dong-Haen said with enthusiasm. These students came here believing they were fragile. They'd leave knowing they are capable of amazing things. The first graduate called to the stage was Yuki Nam, the former alien researcher. She approached the podium with steady steps and clear eyes. 6 months ago, I was afraid of everything, Yuki said, addressing the crowd. I lived in a sterile environment, ate processed food, and avoided any situation that might involve risk or uncertainty. She paused, looking out at the mixed audience. Of humans and aliens? Last week, I climbed a mountain, she continued, her voice growing stronger. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to see what I was capable of. I discovered that I am capable of much more than I ever imagined. The crowd erupted in applause as Yuki received her graduation certificate. Commander Kyung-soo, now serving as the Academy's Director of Practical Engineering, presented the next phase of the program. We are expanding beyond individual training, Kyung announced. Next month, we begin our first planetary rehabilitation project. He activated a holographic display showing a world that had been abandoned 3 centuries earlier due to extreme weather conditions. The Vrex Empire gave up this planet because it experiences seasonal storms, Kyun explained. We have trained a team of Vrex colonists to not only survive these storms, but to use them as sources of renewable energy. Elder Zorian stood and addressed the crowd. The old galactic paradigm classified worlds as either safe or unsafe. The new paradigm recognizes that every world offers both challenges and opportunities. Dr. Yoon-Bai Choi, now serving as the Academy's Director of Adaptive Psychology, presented the most ambitious expansion yet. "We are establishing resilience academies in 12 different star systems," she announced. "Each will be adapted to the specific needs and capabilities of local species." The display showed construction beginning on similar facilities across the galaxy. Each was designed differently, taking into account the unique biology and psychology of its intended students. "The core principle remains the same," Yoon-Bai continued. "Growth comes from facing appropriate challenges in supportive environments." Captain Sue Park took the stage to discuss the military implications of the new paradigm. "Species trained in resilience thinking are proving far more effective at conflict resolution," Sue reported. "When people are confident in their ability to handle problems, they are more likely to seek creative solutions rather than simply avoiding difficulties." She presented data showing dramatic decreases in interplanetary conflicts among species that had participated in resilience training programs. "Fear makes people aggressive," Sue explained. "Confidence makes them cooperative." The ceremony continued with presentations from graduates representing different species. Each told similar stories of transformation from fear-based thinking to growth-based thinking. A Zalari merchant described how resilience training had helped her species develop new trade routes through previously dangerous regions of space, opening up unprecedented economic opportunities. Corvin scientists explained how learning to handle uncertainty had led his research team to break through discoveries they never would have attempted under the old paradigm. A Thaxian diplomat credited resilience training with helping her negotiate the galaxy's first multi-species environmental restoration project, as the formal ceremony concluded. Dong Haiyun began his final class demonstration. 24 students from 8 different species were tasked with building shelter from materials native to the Academy's challenging environment. "Remember," Dong Haiyan called out as the mixed species teams began working, "there is no single correct solution. Every team will face different problems and develop different answers." The alien students, who 6 months earlier would have panicked at such an open-ended assignment, began enthusiastically discussing possibilities and testing. Ideas Ambassador Inesio Wang watched the exercise with satisfaction. "This is what success looks like," she said to the assembled dignitaries. "Not the absence of problems, but the confidence to face them." Elder Zorian nodded thoughtfully. "We spent centuries trying to eliminate challenges from our people's lives. Now we understand that we are eliminating growth opportunities." The exercise concluded with 8 completely different but equally functional shelter designs. Each team had found creative solutions based on their species' unique strengths and the specific materials available in their work area. "Every challenge contains multiple solutions," Dong Han explained as the teams presented their work. "The key is believing that solutions exist and being willing to experiment until you find them." As delegates from across the galaxy prepared to return to their home worlds, many carrying plans for establishing their own resilience training programs. The transformation was evident in more than just individual attitudes. The very concept of habitability had been redefined. Worlds previously considered uninhabitable were being surveyed for colonization potential. Species that had stagnated for centuries were beginning to explore new possibilities. Trade routes were expanding into regions previously considered too dangerous to navigate. Scientific research was accelerating as species became more willing to attempt ambitious projects. Art and culture were flourishing as people found inspiration in overcoming challenges rather than avoiding them. Dr. Woojin Kim, observing the changes from his position as Director of Psychological Assessment, offered his final analysis. "We have witnessed the birth of a new galactic civilization," he said. "One based on growth rather than safety, on potential rather than limitations, on confidence rather than fear." As the ceremony ended and beings from dozens of species began planning their return home, the Academy's motto became clear in practice as well as theory. Every challenge is an opportunity to become stronger. The most dangerous species in the galaxy had indeed been discovered. They were dangerous because they refused to let anyone, including themselves, settle for less than their full potential. And in sharing that danger, they had made the entire galaxy safer, stronger, and more capable than it had ever been before. The death world that had forged humanity was no longer unique. Every world was now a teacher world, and every species was finally free to learn just how much they were truly capable of achieving.